Rabies and Germs, welcome to NJ Today. My name's McConnaughay, and you're watching this either on our official YouTube channel or on Mishmashers.com. And for today's edition, we'll be talking about Black Panther's success and how it came to be obtained. Black Panther was executed as something of a perfect storm, in particular with how its release date correlated with Black History Month, and how it released in February in general, a month that has commonly been grouped in with January as a dying ground, but has recently seen breakthrough success like Deadpool suggest otherwise. The fact that it received big reviews, for instance I really enjoyed it, only accelerated it. When I think of precedent, I think of three films in particular worth talking about: Creed, Wonder Woman, and It. So first we have The Calm Before the Storm. Creed is from the same director as Black Panther and in a lot of ways acted as a prelude to Black Panther's success, not only because it provided a hit for Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, but because of the way it expressed itself as, more or less, the Black Rocky, a phrase echoed by Chris Rock during the Academy Awards that year. The film was a better box office success than the last entries in the Rocky series, and although, on a smaller scale, it felt like an event film, prospered by its strong reviews. Which leads me to my next point: an event. Wonder Woman and Black Panther had a similar upbringing to them. The way that Wonder Woman bolstered itself with a female director and a female actress, in a lot of ways it became a cause to support Wonder Woman. It felt like Wonder Woman was an event, and supporting it was, practically, an act of supporting gender equality by itself. Even though Wonder Woman is not the first superhero film based on a female, in the same way that Black Panther is not the first superhero film based on an African American, it might as well have been. The African American and female demographic are both underrepresented in the film industry, and it has allowed for a lot of film series to bolster considerable success without necessarily having the goods to support it. Look at most of Kevin Hart's filmography, or Tyler Perry's, parring films like Jumanji, and especially with Tyler Perry, and it feels like the deciding factor for its success falls on the shoulders of black moviegoers. In the same way as a lot of films like Bad Moms, or a lot of films with Melissa McCarthy, bad reviews didn't prevent box office success, and it's largely because an underserved audience forced to settle for table scraps. Although Wonder Woman wasn't the first attempt at an action blockbuster in recent times, it was the first attempt at a female action film that felt like an actual blockbuster. Unlike, say, Ghostbusters, which faced backlash for its all-female cast and its bad visual effects. Wonder Woman, on the other hand, like Black Panther, felt like an organic, earned blockbuster that didn't piggyback on the past inertia of other films. It felt new, which is the final point. Something new. Something a lot of individuals don't take into account with horror films is how profitable they are when they succeed. Like female moviegoers or African American moviegoers, fans of the horror genre consistently show up in droves when they feel as though something is worth their time. That's why you see a lot of micro-budget horror films. In terms of box office success, Insidious: The Last Key was more profitable than the Justice League film When the Dust Has Settled. Justice League cost $300 million to produce and a considerable amount to market, so much so that it needed another $100 million to have a chance to break even. That's the allure of smaller budget horror films. They allow for massive return on investment, and when they don't succeed, it doesn't break studios as much as a Justice League caliber misfire. In 2017, we had Universal plagued with misfires like The Mummy, with projected losses of up to $95 million. But then, in October, they released Happy Death Day, a film on nobody's radar that released to middling reviews, that cost not even a fraction of The Mummy's production budget, and was still likely able to cover Universal's losses from The Mummy's failings. Unfortunately, the issue with this is that it subsequently damages the horror genre and creates cushioned expectations and an allowance for mediocre horror films hitting the market. This parallels, in some respect, to the mistreatment of African American audiences, as well as women theatergoers. It's not uncommon to see Tyler Perry make a film that's ripped apart by audiences, or a bad Nicholas Sparks film forced onto theater screens. And when you create these cushioned expectations, that allows for a film that feels worthy of one's time to blow up. We saw it when James Wan released The Conjuring to over $300 million at the worldwide box office, our proverbial calm before the storm, our resurgence of interest. And then we saw an event when Andy Muschietti released an adaptation of Stephen King's It to the masses, grossing more than what the hugely successful Conjuring and Conjuring 2 films did combined, and making more money worldwide than Justice League. This shows that the horror market never left. They simply went into hibernation. no longer sensitized to micro-budget horror or rehashed concepts. And to conclude, it's actually beautiful to see the marketplace react as such. We often see films like Transformers, where everybody bashes them, but the box office total is over $1 billion. But Transformers The Last Knight was the lowest grossing of the series. And although, if you told me years ago that Justice League would misfire, I wouldn't have believed you. Moviegoers made a proper statement that they weren't satisfied with the trajectory of the DC Extended Universe. Instead, moviegoers are actually demanding to be satiated, and although naysayers might argue the quality of Stephen King's It, of Wonder Woman, or of Black Panther, it's nice to see, in some respects, audiences demanding a higher quality of mainstream film, demanding diversity in a movie place and showing that it will be mutually beneficial to the industry as a whole. Thanks for joining me on this edition of NJ Today here on Mishmashers.com, and I'll see you next time.